Good day everyone, especially to our advisor, Ms. Aimee Ayaay, and to our panel 1, Professor Glizzy Parcon, and to our panel member 2, and also research coordinator, Sir John Jefferson de la Cruz. And I would like to introduce myself. I'm Ian Phil Bassett. Uh, Our research title is all about perception on criminal deterrence among citizens of Tagum City, basis for prevention plan. Introduction. One problem with deterrence theory is that it assumes that human beings are rational actors who consider the consequences of their behavior before deciding to commit a crime. However, this is often not the case. Laws and policies designed to deter crime by focusing mainly on increasing the severity of punishment are ineffective partly because criminals know little about sanction for specific crimes. More severe punishment do not chasten individuals convicted of crimes, and prisons may exacerbate recidivism. Nonetheless, deterrence is at the heart of the preventive aspiration of criminal justice. Deterrence, whether through preventive patrol by police officers or steep prison sentences for violent offenders, is the principal mechanism through which the principal features of criminal justice. The exercise of state authority works, it is hoped, to diminish offending and enhance public safety. Deterrence is the theory that criminal penalties do not just punish violators, but also discourage other people from committing similar offenses. Many people point to the need to deter criminal action after a high-profile incident in which an offender is seen to have received a light sentence. Some argues that a tougher sentence would have prevented that tragedy and can prevent a similar tragedy from taking place in the future. Examining changes in penalties, incarceration rates, and the number of police officers at the national levels shows some correlation between policy changes and crime rates. Under the economic theory of deterrence, an expansion in the expense of wrongdoing ought to prevent individuals from perpetrating the wrongdoing, and there is proof that people who accept they are probably going to be captured and rebuffed are more averse to carry out a wrongdoing than the individuals who don't anticipate being caught or rebuffed. For instance, targeted policing or hotspot policing regions shows that few areas represent an extreme high level of wrongdoings episode. Law authorization organization reacted to this proof by focusing on the spaces with expanded police presence. Following in the increment in the police presence, there was a decrease in wrongdoing. One review showed that multiplying police presence delivered a decrease in 6% to 13% of wrongdoings call. On the other hand, there is a need to conduct this study because one of the top concerns of the community is security and safety. Based on the NAMBIO 2021, crime index in Tagum City is 38.37%, which is higher than in Davao City with 27.79%. As well, the Davao City is safer with 72.21 safety scale, whereas Tagum City has 61.53%. With this data, Tagum City has still room for improvement on preventing crimes and ensuring more safety environment for its people. Considering the crime still happening in this locality, The best course of action is to create and implement strategies on how to prevent and lessen crime, not just in the short run but in a long basis. The researchers believe that getting and assessing their perspective on how to deter crime might be a valuable contribution on perception on criminal deterrence among citizens in Tagum City. Lastly, due to increasing cases of criminal activities in our country, specifically at Tagum City, there is a need to develop and practice crime. Deterrence approach to keep it safe from crimes and ensure security among people living like in the community. The data findings and result of this study will surely ameliorate and the understanding of the readers about perception and criminal deterrence among citizens in Tagum City. Moreover, the result of the study will be beneficial to the citizens of Tagum City, Philippine National Police of Tagum, educators, students, and researchers. Research and objective. The main purpose of conducting this study is to evaluate the perception on criminal deterrence among citizens of New Balanban, Tagum City. In particular, this study addresses the following sub-problems. Number one, to assess the level perception on criminal deterrence among citizens of New Balanban, Tagum City in terms of certainty of punishment and severity of punishment. Number two is to formulate crime prevention plan based on the result of the study.
I'm Jordan C. Antonio, the second reporter. I will continue. Method. Participants. The researcher considered the residents in New Balanban, Tagum City, age 18 years old and above as the target respondent of this study who are capable to shed light on the criminal deterrence in the community. The researcher locate is chosen based on crime rate. New Balanban hold the highest crime rate, hence making it the target location of the study. According to the latest report from Philippines National Police Tagum, among the 23 barangays, New Balanban records 301 offenses from January 1, 2021 to November 19, 2021. Full random sampling is used wherein the respondents are randomly selected due to convenience, availability, and accessibility of the target response. Materials and instrument. The study shall use scripted non-experimental research design. This study involves collection of quantitative information that can be tabulated along continuum in numerical form, such as scores on a test or a number of times respondent of the study chooses to use a certain idea or categories of information, and the research method being used of the study. With this research method is can determine and analyze the obtained data or necessary regarding the perception of criminal deterrence among citizens in New Balanban, Tagum City, Davao del Norte. The statistical report instrument used is gathering necessary data from the target response is a researcher-made questionnaire that consists of items and determining the perception of criminal deterrence among citizens in New Balanban, Tagum City, Davao del Norte. In order to obtain the numerical results of the data gathering, a measurement scale is used to determine the extent of perception on criminal deterrence among citizens in Tagum City. The framework below represents the parameter of the study. The set of questionnaire deals with the criminal deterrence in Tagum City with the following indicators: certainty, punishment, and severity of punishment. In evaluating the level of criminal deterrence in Tagum City, the survey employed the 5-point scale that guided the interpretation of data. In evaluating the level of criminal deterrence in Tagum City, the survey employed the 5 points scale that guided the interpretation of data: range of means, level, and description. 4.30-5.00, very high. It signifies the criminal deterrence in Tagum City is very much evident. 3.50-4.20, high, signifies that the criminal deterrence in Tagum City is much evident. 2.70-3.40, moderate, it signifies the criminal deterrence in Tagum City is evident. 1.90-2.60, low, it signifies the criminal deterrence in Tagum City is moderately evident. 1.00-1.80, very low, it signifies the criminal deterrence in Tagum City is not evident. Design and procedure. The researcher administered the test proper on the target response through sending Google survey form to emails of respondent, but beforehand, realignment of the procedures are highly observed on or before the conduct of the study. Consequently, the researcher ensures a request letter to execute the conduct of the study, target respondents, and upon approval, research made. Questionnaires have been passed to check the validity of test questionnaire after the true validation of questionnaire types of research and instrument. The researcher team planned ahead on the systematized procedure in conducting the gathering of data among the target respondents and ensure enough copy of questionnaire to be able to collect exact amount of information needed to comply and determine the focus of the study. The overall response taken from the questionnaires are statistically analyzed throughout the use of mean and statistical tools. This will be used to determine the extent of degree of perception and criminal deterrence among residents in Tagum City. I will further provide insight about where the data collected seems to cluster around. Result and discussion. The extent or degree of perception and criminal deterrence among residents in New Balanban, Tagum City in terms of certainty of punishment and severity of punishment. Extent or degree of perception and criminal deterrence among residents in New Balanban, Tagum City. Table 1 shows the level of perception and criminal deterrence among residents in New Balanban, Tagum City with an overall mean of 3.89 with a standard deviation of 0.48 with a descriptive equivalent of high. This means the level of perception and criminal deterrence among residents in New Balanban, Tagum City is much evident. Among the two indicators, intensity of punishment got the highest mean of 3.94 with a standard deviation of 0.56 with a descriptive equivalent of high, while severity of punishment got a mean of 3.85 with a standard deviation of 0.51 with a descriptive equivalent of high. Table 1, level of perception and criminal deterrence among residents in New Balanban, Tagum City. Indicators: mean, standard deviation, descriptive level. Certainty of punishment: mean 3.94, standard deviation 0.56, high. Severity of punishment 3.85, standard deviation of 0.51, descriptive level of high. Overall mean 3.89, standard deviation of 0.48, descriptive level of high. Among the indicators, certainty of punishment got the most elevated score. This implies that perception and criminal deterrence among residents in New Balanban, Tagum City finds that there a system of punishment for any offense committed. They know the new law enforcers are ready to capture or correct people who makes offenses. They know that the people in the community are willing to report any unusual happens or suspected offenses to the authority. They know that law enforcers are strictly monitoring the community, and they know that any forms of offenses are punishable to maintain public peace and order. While severity of punishment, this implies that perception on criminal deterrence among residents in Nubalan, Tagum City are aware that there is a punishment or fine for an offense they will commit. Aware that there is a punishment or fine for an offenses will commit. Aware that there is punishment or fine for an offenses they will commit. Aware that it's a burden and somehow ruin their image as a person, and aware that it may affect their future like difficulty on finding a job.
My name is Darren Lagoy Uso. The ratio response rate of the respondents did not decrease and increase across the question given by the researchers. Moreover, their answers are probably the same and equal regarding their age and gender provided by reasons, rate, and reduction. These results are explained in terms of knowledge of residents in New Balamban, Tagum City, and the researchers. Proposed prevention plan to enhance the perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City. Rationally, deterrence is at the heart of the preventive aspiration of criminal justice. Deterrence, whether through prevention patrol by police officers or state prison sentence of violent offenders, is the principal mechanism toward which of the central features of criminal justice. The exercise of state authority work it the hope to diminish offending and enhance public safety. Deterrence is the theory that criminal penalties do not just punish violators, but also discourage other people from committing similar offenses. Many people point to the need to deter criminal action after the high-profile incident in which of offender is seen by tragedy and can prevent a similar tragedy from taking place in the future. With this, the researchers created a prevention plan to lessen the instance where residents in New Balamban, Tagum City. Objectives. The general objective of this prevention plan is to give an alternative solution to the perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City, to lessen to instances where perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City encounters such problems. Metrics of activities. The metrics activities shows the collection of numbers arranged into the fixed number of rows, column corresponding with these activities above, showing the key result areas, objectives, strategies, activities, expected outcomes, and persons involved that may consider that range of responsible approaches generated to come up with prevention program that may utilize to address the identified issues concerning perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City as basis for the prevention plan that can be formulated to address the perception on criminal deterrence among basis for principles formulated in New Balamban, Tagum City. The purpose of the metrics is to be provide preliminary guidelines for the creation of an consistent and proper method of perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City as prevention plan that can be formulated to address the perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City. In each indicator to come up with potential opportunities while managing potential adverse effects as well as important decision aids and perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City. Metrics of activities. Key result area. Certainty of management. Objectives. Know that people in the community are willing to report any unusual happening or suspected offenses to authority. Strategies. Activities. To conduct symposium in the barangay for residents to report any unusual happening or suspected offenses to the authority. Expected to outcome. Residents are aware that there is punishment or fine for an offense they will commit. Persons involved. Barangay officials, residents. Severity of punishment. Objectives to prevent that strategy and can prevent a similar tragedy from taking place in future. Strategies, activities to conduct seminars, orientation on citizen arrest. Expected outcome. Residents will be able to know that any forms of offenses are punishable to maintain public peace and order. Persons involved, barangay official, residents. Conclusion. The following conclusions are drawn based on the foregoing finding. The level of extent degree of perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City was described as high. This means that the extent of degree of perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City is much evident. The ratio response rate the respondent did not decrease and increase across questions given by the researchers. Moreover, their answers are probably the same and equal regarding their age and gender provided by response rate reduction. These results are explained in terms of knowledge of the residents of New Balamban, Tagum City and the researchers. Recommendation. After the conclusion review of the discoveries of the study and irrelevant conclusion drawn, the accompanying recommendation are offered since the level of extent of degree of perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City was described as high. It has to be elevated into very high. Criminal penalties do not just punish violators, but also discourage that people from committing similar offenses. Many people point of needs to deter criminal action after high-profile incident in which an offender is seen to have received a light sentence. Through this prevention plan to provide preliminary guidelines for the creation of consistent and proper dissemination method of criminal deterrence as prevention plan that can be formulated to be address the extent of or degree perception of criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City in each indicator to come up with potential opportunities while managing potential adverse effects as well as the important decision aids and extent or degree or perception on criminal deterrence among residents in New Balamban, Tagum City and elevating to very high in the next activity.